Are we live?
We're live.
Oh, I'm not ready. All right, Josh.
Oh no,
intro it
Wyatt's
anyway.
not ready.
Shoot.
Welcome to episode 224. We've caught Wyatt, I don't know, up to no good, I'm sure. Up to absolutely no good. This entire episode, concoction coming straight from Wyatt's brain to do a top 10 greatest of all time players for 5 years of the game. Why, like, they're already miserable enough when we do them for a tournament. You've just caused chaos across the scene.
First of all, I'm getting our numbers up so we can get a big old check at the end of this month. Make Matt Mr. X real happy, because I don't think his prize picks are going too well, and the NBA season is over, so he needs bread. So first of all, I'm looking out for him. I'm looking out for the company. This is for the company, Josh. But also, just on a Valorant discussion level, to give the people something to chew on during this downtime, they needed this. And I think it's a good time to have a top 10 list because things are kind of up in the air. Would it possibly make more sense to do this at the end of the year when Champions is over? Yes. But right now, we can be very reactionary after Toronto. And I think things are in flux. It's an interesting time. You know what I mean? That's my pitch. That's my sell. Wilkinson, do you buy?
Yeah, I'd buy it, but I've also, like you were saying, it gives the community something to chew on. They are chewing the gristle, man. The kind of comments I'm getting in my chat from people discussing this topic are like, they're mad out there. They're mad. People are talking, oh, the ring culture's ridiculous in Valorant. Like, what?
There's so many opinions, and the thing is, it's just like they're all valid. I was trying to do this list, and I ended up having like arguments with myself, just like, why am I not including this person? So I don't know how we're gonna do this, because it's going to be a disaster. It really is. I'd changed mine about 10 times, and now I've forgotten who's on it. I don't even know who's on my top 10 list.
Chopper, did you have an easy time with this?
Probably.
I mean, there were like a couple, but I don't know. I think it was pretty straightforward.
Dude, I bet he bashed it out in like 5 minutes or something.
What do you mean it was pretty straightforward?
Aren't you always thinking about the greatest of all time list like every single day? I just update my ticker every single day, Sideshow. So it's just like the day that the survey comes in, it's just ready to go. I just pump it out.
I honestly, I believe that that's the case. I believe there are genuinely some people who do that as well. So this has significantly shifted my time. I don't know why I'm putting on the nerd voice, because this is the kind of thing that I would do.
Yeah,
it's
I was going to say. Me when I'm in the glass house, and I love throwing stones.
Me looking in the mirror, taking the piss out of myself, while Sliggy's looking in the mirror, having arguments with himself. I mean, we're fine out here. We're fine on Plat Valorant. We're doing okay. Now, later on, we're going to be doing our list, right, of the top 10 greatest players of all time. So we each made a bunch of individual lists. We also did a community list that we're going to go through. And then, like, stuff gets combined together for the Plat Chat list, too. So tons of different stuff to go through. Now, there was also week 1 of China got played. So we're going to be going through the matches of that later on as well. But first of all, I think it would behoove us to go and sprinkle some attention in the direction of the members who so kindly support the show and bring in the bread, as Wyatt is hyper concerned about. So... Every week they get to ask us a question. This week's question was, I mean, they don't throw us the easy ones. What are your bold predictions for teams who will go to champs from each region? Oh, just another excuse for us to look like idiots. Thanks. Appreciate that
one. Bold prediction. Okay, hold up.
I got messed up by this one before, Sliggy. If you take the bold part too seriously, you're gonna
people really will go for you. So there's 4 of us and there's 4 regions, right? So I'm going to take control because I think there's an easy pick for one of these regions. So I'm going to choose China. This is how it's going down. Okay. I'll take China, and I think FPX are going to go on a run.
Oh, give me... But
hold on.
But is that bold?
Yeah. They got 3 points. How is that not bold?
So you're picking bold. One of the 4 teams, and you're saying which one is the most bold in terms of your prediction?
I'm picking one of the... we each pick a region, and then we each say we each pick a team, right. a bold team that probably isn't in the top 4 at the moment. And I think they're like 7th.
So just because they have to get top 2?
They're going to get top 2, yeah.
Right.
All right. And any people jumping in there from Chob and Wyatt?
For that prediction?
No, for a different region.
Pick a region.
I mean, am I allowed to do Pacific? Because that's easy.
Yeah, do it. Go off.
Yeah, it just
But
can't
look at
be
his
Nongshim.
T-shirt. dude.
Literally can't be Nongshim.
Look at his
No,
T-shirt.
I will do. I'll do Americas. I'll do Americas. I won't do Pacific because we all know what I'm going to say.
Same thing for Josh. Go on.
But I don't know if this would be considered bold either, because I think a lot of people probably believe, but EG would be my bold one for
Damn,
Americas.
that is bold.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if you guys think it's bold, I mean, I think
That's
they
bold,
showed
yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
enough promise that there is like a good chance that they can make the run all the way.
Okay.
Damn.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
So now, Wyatt, what are you?
Oh
gonna leave
wait,
me
this
with?
is for teams who will go to champs.
Yeah.
I misread that. I thought it
what
was
did you
just
think it was?
just anything champs related of a team that's going to champs. So, Josh, you go next. Now I have to think of a new one.
Okay. Well, do you want Pacific or do you want EMEA?
You have to do Pacific. It's a rule.
Yeah, you
I
have
mean,
to do Pacific. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, that's all you.
Okay, I guess I'll pick up Pacific then. I think the team that I'd be looking at in Pacific, is it a hot take to say that I think? I mean, I don't think it's hot though. Is it a hot take to say that DRX are going to be able to make it? I mean, they didn't make it.
No.
Boo, bro.
They didn't make it to this one.
DRX.
They
Yeah,
weren't
but
one of
there's
the 3 teams that made it to this
there's
one.
4 teams going.
Right, so it has to be a team that's
I
currently
mean-
outside of the top 4.
I mean, yeah, I think that's probably.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not that bold, right?
That's not particularly bold.
All right, well, how about why,
Do it.
dude? Every time it comes to
it.
Pacific, I want to do the opposite. I want to say the hater take of like T1 are not gonna make it, but surely that can't happen. That can't happen. They've already got so many champs points. All right, if I was actually gonna go for a team, then
Dude, surely there's an easy one here, no?
What, RRQ? That's not a hot take though. That's less hot than DRX.
I don't
No,
think
that's not
RRQ.
hot. No.
You don't think
There's actually
RRQ?
a couple. There's actually a couple easy ones in Pacific, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Even not
don't
counting
agree.
Nongshim, which is not that bold because it's going to happen. But you know,
I mean, I think the team that I would be looking at in terms of like most excited to see whether they could do it would be Talon with the new talent that they have on the
Sure.
roster. But I'm not. I don't think they will. So it's not a bold prediction.
oh, that's the problem.
So you literally think the top 4 is going, basically. That has the points already.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll be the 4 best teams. I think
yeah.
no, not the
Underestimating
top 4 in
Pacific
terms
again.
of points. I think RRQ. I think RRQ is going to make
Oh,
it.
okay. Instead of T1.
Instead of T1. But how far behind are they in terms of points? Are they like 5 points behind?
Pretty far, mate.
Yeah. Instead of T1 would
Don't
be
worry.
tough. But-
Don't
They're
worry.
2 points behind.
They'll get there instead of T1.
2 points behind.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
making it instead of T1. RRQ instead of T1.
RRQ instead of T1.
Wow.
Why? Give me the EMEA hot take.
Hmm.
From the fires of the 1-team region.
The EMEA hot take. All right. You can. Is it hot to say that Liquid are going to qualify in first place in this stage?
Ooh.
It's hot, and you know what? I like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we added a fast
Yeah,
place in.
then-
I like that.
And I'll run with that. I'll run with Liquid in first.
By the way, we didn't have it in the runner show today at all, but while we're on the subject of Liquid, the rumor is that they're acquiring Trex, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's
why I'm
so
running.
Trex
That's
for cereal.
why I'm running with it. That is why I'm running with it.
Trex for cereal is an insane pickup to make a prediction like that happen. So, goddamn, Sliggy actually just.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you guys talk. What do you mean? wait, why am I in big camera?
What is that?
It's so good.
Poster saying
Go
them.
to someone
All right.
else. Go to someone else.
All right, let's move on from the member question then, shall we? I mean, in terms of bread acquisition, you couldn't find a better week than this week because Wyatt's eaten so good. One of the reasons he's eaten so good, with all of the money that we're making on this show, he can afford even more food by going to factormeals.com because normally this guy's ordering takeout constantly and it's burning through his wallet. He can't afford all of the food that he's eaten. He's a big, strong, strapping lad. But if he goes to factormeals.com and uses the code VALORANT50 off, he gets 50% off his first box. That's a large discount for a large boy. And he's able to put even more food in there. I gotta go saliva all over my hand there. Now they've got a load of different options. If Wyatt's feeling like going vegetarian one week, if he's feeling like going protein,
Yes.
dense,
I need protein density. What can I get, Josh?
okay, you could get a garlic herb chicken. You could get a chimichurri filet mignon and shrimp.
Ooh.
You could get you could get a smoky garlic. Kurt's going around the screen too fast. I can't read it all, but but oh my goddamn, that's a lot of meat and garlic and stuff. These are chef prepared, dietitian approved meals that get delivered fresh and ready to eat. So perfect for any active lifestyle or any lifestyle where you can't be bothered getting up from your PC and just want your food already made and you can't be bothered cooking. So, you know, if that, I don't know my target audience out here, but I'm feeling like we might have more of the lazy people in the chat than the super active people in the chat. But who knows? Who knows? So yeah, have a look. Get started at factormeals.com/Valorant50 off and use the code Valorant50 off. You get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That is code Valorant50 off at factormeals.com/Valorant50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/Valorant50 off. Let's move on.
Dude, that was good. I like the energy on this one. That was nice.
Thank
The hand in the mouth was a choice, but you went
I
with
watched
it.
recently
Okay, good. Good
within
to
the
know.
last week. Another short announcement as well is that obviously EWC is happening over the next week. We're not going to be covering it on the show because frankly, I don't think it's healthy for any company to be in charge of 40% of esports, but the Savvy Games Group really, really wants to. And they've also, the chairman of the board of the Savvy Games Group is literally the guy in charge of the Saudi regime. So it's not particularly good times out there. Having said that, if you're looking to not watch it, or you're looking to, hey, watch a little bit of it and then spend some time watching something else, we've got a charity stream running at the same time. This is not an official Plat Chat charity stream, but it's going to be running on my channel, it's going to be running on Bren's channel, and whoever else of the people taking part wants to also be streaming. We're going to be raising money for the Human Dignity Trust, who are a charity that works with LGBT legislation. So they try to push to decriminalize stuff like same-sex relations, same-sex marriage, empower trans rights, but going through the legislative kind of lens of things. And also we're raising money for Mecca, who are the Middle Eastern Children's Alliance, who do an extremely good job trying to safeguard the well-being of children within the Middle East. A lot of their work at the moment is to do with children in Gaza, of which it is a shocking situation over there. So that's running from Tuesday, July 8th to Sunday, July 13th from 9 a.m. when EWC broadcasts are going to begin up until really late. We're going to be playing a range of different games. I mean, Kurt, I don't know if you have the schedule for like day one available as well, but we've got, all sorts of different stuff on show. First day, going to be playing some Hitman whilst cosplaying, then playing some Pokemon Emerald where people could donate. Jackbox, all sorts of other games too, where we'll have people taking part with Counter-Strike and Valorant and I don't know, Peak and Repo and Lethal Company and all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to check it out, check it out.
Are you playing League of Legends, Josh?
I'm going to set it as a donation goal because, my God, I've got to pump the people for money for charity if I'm ever going to touch that game ever again.
Dude, you gotta see this boy play League.
Dude,
It's so funny.
I remember I watched like 2 minutes of Blitzcrank and I never wanted to see it again. But then he also said, what games do you want to play here? And I said League, but now I'm kind of regretting it, thinking that he's going to be playing.
My all-time win rate on League, I think, is 1-13. I had 13 losses in a row before I got my first victory.
And
I vowed never to play that piece of shit title ever again.
whoa.
Sorry, Riot. Sorry, Daddy Riot. But you did a good one with Valorant, okay? You somehow came out with gold. Whatever the hell you were doing a few years ago with League of Legends, though, get that shit gone. Get it gone. Okay, I feel like I've waffled for plenty of time now, though. I'd like to pass over to Sliggy for a moment to walk us through a little bit of what we saw this week in China. So there's been the week one of China has begun because apparently it's like peak time. People have just done their global exams and now they've got a little bit of downtime. And so it's like great time to get out there and enjoy some esports. So EDG had their debut with HFMI D0ZJC97Z, who's now changed his name.
He's now rebranded.
What did you think?
So I went and watched the Kuro demo today just because I was like, well, I didn't watch this actual game, so I need to see what was going down. It was very puggy, I think, at the moment. We've had a few corrodes, and I think that some teams kind of know what they're doing. I would say this is two teams that don't know what they're doing, really, to be honest. But it's still fresh, I think. People will learn from other teams. But I do think that this is a great pickup for EDG, and I have a lot of confidence that they'll kind of be back to a very high level when it comes to actually champs. But in terms of the actual game itself and how they're looking on Corrode, didn't massively love it. But I think again the pickup's gonna work especially when it's like a meta that might be like pretty double duelist heavy. If you want to lean that way, and I think it's like open to do that. I think it could be a very strong lineup, really, that team.
Wyatt, Chubber, do you have any reads on what the meta will be on Corrode? Do you have like a gut feeling?
Well, for me right now, my favorite Corrode map / comp that I've watched was Crew playing it with the Vice, Viper, Fade, double controller with the Viper. That was nice. This double controller Omen Astra was not a fan. I get the idea with the Gecko. There are a lot of great dizzies because of all the walls around the map that you can throw up to catch people. But the Wingman is okay on B, not good when you're trying to get into A. I'm not super sold on the Gecko entirely. I really like what Crew are playing, though. And I also like what FBX are playing. I think Double Sentinel looks like it could be viable, too. But was not a huge fan of these comps. I mean, EDG, they came in with a lot of ideas. They had some set plays they came through with. Like on the pistol rounds was pretty cool, but then also, if you want to play a really ridiculously poor round, we go to round 8, Kurt. That's like the bizarre fake round. Like, they came in with an idea, respect, but, it was just didn't go too well.
Is this the one where they all end up in the B connector, like stuffed in there?
No, this is one where they go for a B fake with a null command. You'd have to play from the beginning, Kurt. And then they they have to rotate all the way back to A, but the map is so big that all of Titan get there in time after the fake, which is not.
The rotates
not
are
ideal.
Phenomenally long. It takes it takes about 25 seconds through spawn. It's mad. And so when we watched Crew play against who were they even playing against? 2G or something?
Yeah, 2G.
Yeah. They were the brawls in mid were ridiculous. It actually looked like an ARAM game at times. Me making a League of Legends reference though.
Yeah,
actually,
we made it.
Smite me. Oh, Smite! Another League of Legends reference, bro. Get it gone. Get out of my head. Get out of my head.
But yeah, I think generally so far, like if you win mid, you kind of win. Is the name of the game so far from the comps we've seen. I agree with Wyatt. The one I've liked the most is the FPX one. But I think what's going to be fun is I don't know if it's going to be there, or if there's going to be like a hard dominant 5 set. Right, I think there's going to be like core 3 good agents, and then it's like you could go double controller, you could go double sentinel, you could go double initiator as well, in my opinion. It's funny because I actually think tech double controller, like in theory, I'm fine with it, even if it's Omen Astra. But I also thought it was very interesting that they would pick the new map, pick no hard sentinel against the one team that is known to disrespect everybody and play puggy when they need to win. Like that just seemed like the craziest idea, and then it also didn't seem that well fleshed out. So I was pretty disappointed with that pick because it was clearly an intentional pick by Titan Esports.
Bro, if you want to talk about map vetoes, then let's move on to talking about the Wolves game, because Wolves have just come back from making 3rd in Toronto. Phenomenal run. Clearly a great team. And then because you've gone so deep in Toronto, you don't have very much time to be practicing the new map pool. You don't have time to really be, you can be comfortable on Bind in the sense that you've played it, a while ago and you know the basics of it, but you can't have had that much time on Corrode. The map veto was that Wolves picked Corrode and then banned Ascent, which they're good at in the final round, to have Bind remaining. So they were just like, we're going to play this one on hard mode, actually, guys. And they ended up losing 0-2, didn't even get to Bind. Pretty a pretty limp performance from them, all things said and done as well. They got smacked around on Corona.
they got really wrecked. They got owned by they just got owned by Autumn's Chamber, to be honest. He was just going mids, just getting picks every single time. I did think when they got into attack, it actually like made sense why they picked it. I think their Viper wall over towards mid created a lot of pressure, like blocking vision from B, and they actually had like a good understanding of the map on attack, at least mid. And then when I watched him on defense, I was like, you guys just don't get it at the moment. They they played so heavy like double blockers over towards B. But B's like the site that you can retake. So they had like Viper, Cypher, B. And then every single time they're trying to play retake over towards A. And I don't think you can do that. And even one round they left A to play retake 5-person. So I think like when you watch Crew, they kind of did like a 1-3-1 with 2 leaning over towards A, so they could fast fight A if they did come over towards A. And I think that's probably what you'll see from other teams. But I do think the Wolves on attack, they kind of know what they wanted to achieve, and I think teams would struggle against it. It's just a new map, and it's just a bit of lack of understanding. But yeah, do bold map picks really from them to have the 2 new maps.
For real, yeah, they really were leaving so many rounds where Lysor was just solo over towards A, and even when it came down to the retake situation, he had like already used his paranoia so many times just to try and escape, sometimes not really needing to use it, and was just scared, firing it off and running away. Then they would play retake with very little util to get back in on A. But yeah, it was also just a little frustrating to watch Wolves really play into FPX hands with the chamber. There were so many raw re-clear like this into mid. This happened multiple times where 2 players just open-faced into mid and both got caught walking out. And I like that FPX have the chamber with a scoped weapon to just control the deep sightlines on mid while they can work the rest of the map and pivot back. He controls that area. Cool. But man, they just did not play around it. They played into it, and Autumn farmed them.
He destroyed them. There was also, I think, a lot of they didn't quite understand how some of the angles work just because they haven't had enough time on the map. At the beginning, Autumn was just standing on the box at the very bottom of mid and shooting over the top of Viper walls, getting kill, shooting over the top of Omen smokes, getting kills. Just some basic map angle geometry awareness. That stuff will just get fixed over time, though.
Yeah, it's just a learning process for sure. I do want to start speaking positively about FPX though. I like this man. I think FPX look good though. As much as we're harping on for Wolves kind of taking a risk and it backfiring, I do think that FPX look nice. I think picking up Lagia is good as well. I think they have a good understanding. We're already seeing new map them cooking up Chamber Vice, which I think first time if you have a lot of theory, I think you're winning that game every single time. I think if you play that comp on a map first time, I think you will always win. And I think historically, maybe if you take out Pearl, I think that's true at the moment. So yeah, I like that they're leaning heavy into that style of the meta, and I think it's going to suit them well. And getting Berlin back is huge. It's pretty much just the old team, right? Apart from Yosemite instead of Lysor.
Yep.
That's so sick.
I was hoping.
That's so sick. And then obviously change of the coach.
I was hoping you would mention crucial roster move of minus Berlin plus Berlin. That's really going to bring them back to the top midway through this year. Now they looked.
Was he out with an injury? Or
yeah, he took a break because of health reasons, and he said he wanted to come back when when that was initially announced,
Gotcha.
And he's back.
And
they look good. And he's back, and they're looking good. I don't want to. Personally, I don't even know if it's cope for Wolves, but I'm okay with them losing this game to an FPX that are looking good, coming right back from an event. They're going to be fatigued. FPX have been watching, and that feeling when you get to go up against the team that just got back, that is the de facto best in your region, as per the result in Toronto. You're hungry to beat them. Wolves are coming back fatigued. That's the perfect opportunity to get an upset win. And even if we go to Sunset, the first map, and Wolves really looked out of sorts, and FPX were able to beat them pretty decisively there. They were winning the majority of the pistol rounds in this series. It was weird maybe not weird, but it was interesting to see also that Wolves, even on Sunset when they were playing attack, they were running a lot more fast hits than we saw from them at Toronto. Like in the game against Gen.G where they beat them on Sunset, they only ran one fast exec on attack, and they won like 9 rounds on attack or something to win that game. And they ran several against FPX, and they just did not actually work. Like, I think it was round 5, Kurt, if you want to pull that one up in the background, where they went for just fast B hit with very awkward positioning. Just moments like that were failing that were very contrast to how they were playing at Toronto. But all that being said, I'm not going to overreact. It's just week 1.
Yeah, dude. That's what I was telling my chat. I was like, it's so fine. Like, it's so fine. It's a new map. They just came back, and it's like, I think FPX was probably one of the worst teams that you wanted to play early here as well.
Oh, for sure.
I think they got a bit
sure.
unfortunate with that.
They definitely got unlucky. The next game that they play is against All Gamers when they have so China has played its week 1 now. They have another week off while EWC is happening, which is just so stupid. Like, even if you're going to run a tournament like this, please make the scheduling better in the future. So now, so they've got a week off. They're not traveling because they were the 3rd seed, right? So they didn't qualify for the event. And they have a week now to just practice like new maps, all of that kind of stuff. And then when they come back, they're playing against All Gamers, who are, I mean, we're going to talk about them later. They did actually win a map against XLG, but prior to this stage were pretty much the worst team in VCT. So if Wolves have a week of extra learning and come back and lose to AG, that's when I think we can start to hit the panic button a little bit. But for now, it looks like they're going to be fine. To move on, though, to talking about it, they were doing this constantly. They were mogging the shit out of Lysor.
Yeah. They were giving it back real hard.
To move on to talking about AG, though, the team that Wolves are going to be facing against next, they started out with a good map win, actually, over XLG, but ended up losing the series overall. AG basically just copied what Gen.G was doing on Sunset. They executed it pretty well. I was like, hold on, maybe all gamers are not going to be the all gluers of the past.
Dude, I got excited. I watched the first map and I was like, hold up, guys, we might be onto something.
XLG were playing terribly.
No, they
too,
were.
though.
Yeah, they were.
Oh,
on the
it was
first map.
dreadful.
It was like a good example of like a snowball for sure, which is like good to see from all gamers as well for looking for positives. And then I was, oh damn, they've sussed it. But yeah, I was trying to stay on the positives of all gamers because I was watching some of the stuff that Sheila were doing. I was like, holy shit, what are they doing, man?
Yeah. The Raga Neon looks
Dude,
yeah, that was
great.
rough.
Like
it was the same at Toronto. It was the same at Toronto. It's just for a team that I thought in stage 1 were playing with so much class in terms of the fundamentals. Toronto to now, specifically when he's running the Neon, he's so disconnected from the rest of the team, and I don't want to attribute that just to him, but damn, man, it's happening constantly. We're just so far ahead. No one can trade. Caught in the open. So many moments where he's trying to do a lot with the movement, just dancing around, dies alone. They got to tighten this up for real.
Yeah, I think the thing is in my memory, that's how they were playing a lot, even at like kickoff and maybe even the very beginning of stage 1, just not as bad because it wasn't as much Neon, right? But it was I always said that it very much felt like it was a duelist Vukushu, where it was like go kill, and if he gets 2 or 3, we win the round. If not, then oops, like Happy Way has to clutch. And then they cleaned up, like they definitely cleaned up and started to play very organized and teamwork heavy. And then obviously, roster changes, etc. So I think probably they're in that phase of like, we need to relearn all of that now with a new, 2 new members, I guess, 2 iterations of new members, where we're like, okay, how does this work? What's the tempo like? Like, Raga, when do you call for this? When do we slow down? Like all of that. I think Raga probably just has to be okay with losing some maps to learn that again with his new teammate.
I don't think it's a coincidence that they lost the map that NoMan played Breach on.
That's what I was going to say.
The maps where he played more like duelist-oriented stuff. He's only played Breach 4 times in matches, including this one. And
that's a good moment to mention the Breach, that clip. Oh,
yeah. It's going to take a big learning process, but at least he can communicate properly with the team, right? Which was like a massive problem for them at Toronto with MIDI.
Yeah, and again, you can play double duelist at the moment. You don't
Yeah.
please stop playing Breach, man.
Yeah.
He's so bad in this meta. Please flash it for teams that are out there. Just please, if you're considering playing a flash initiator, just look at the current stats. They are shit right now. Like they are actually shit. Like Breach is averaging like a 15% win rate or something. Like get him out of there. He's just awful.
If you want to play a flash initiator, play Yoru.
Don't. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, it's exactly that.
Yeah.
So yeah, XLG tightened it up though on the second two maps. Like we were saying, they ran like quite a bit more double duelist stuff. Like on Lotus, for example, they were running Raga on the Yoru and then NoMan on the Raze. Happy Way took over that game completely. And then on Ascent, they're running a lot more people running this comp actually, and it looks really nice.
I like
this,
it.
Fnatic comp, and again, Happy Way just kind of dominated. But
Yeah,
it's a nice comp.
19 kills on defense, and love to start on defense with a double Sentinel comp on Ascent, and you win the pistol round.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
GG.
saying. The chamber vice it's beautiful. It really is. It does combo so well. There's so much that you can do.
Yeah.
Your strat book is it's so big. It's so hard to play against. Like
But-
again, if you have good theory, I'm telling you, first time you whip it out, you're winning that map. I don't care who you are. It could be all gamers against G2. You're gonna win.
Speaking of G2, they used to run a composition pretty similar to this on Pearl, but I feel like you could do so much less with the like moving around the setups. They tried to be as versatile as they could, but there's just way less places that you can put all of the stuff to add a different flavor to the defensive setups. And I think that was an example of the composition where the longer you play it, the worse it gets, because the more people just figure out what all of your different looks look like. Whereas this, you could just iterate for days on where everyone's peeking from and where they're set up. Let's move on, though, to talking about DRG, because we've talked about NoMan coming in for XLG, had an all right performance. Talked about ZJC coming in for EDG as well. But Dragon Ranger Gaming had a bloke that we had not heard of whatsoever called Akeman, something like that. But if you click on his career profile, he'd played like bollocks all Valorant. He was from the DRG Academy prospect, and he played for a team called I Am Here. And guess what? He is here. He is here, and he looks kind of like the truth.
Real
So-
quick, Josh, and Sugi, there was a correction on his history. There's a website.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Is that what you're gonna say, Sliggy? There's a website
Yeah,
that shows
yeah,
like
this-
more information about China.
Ooh, interesting.
Basically, the tier 2 Chinese stuff doesn't come up on VLR, and I think there's a website, like this that actually shows it. So he has played a lot of games. But dude, I fell for this as well. I watched his he played Neon first map, and I was like, who the hell is
Dude,
this
he
guy?
looked incredible.
Yeah,
I was
and
like, he's like the new Charon.
I was like, no, I looked at his games. I was like, 4 games. I was like, oh god, this guy must be an absolute monster. But yeah, I kind of got tricked by that as well. But he has been playing in tier 2 for a lot of it, so it's not as we originally thought. But he looks good. I'm just very worried about his agent pool because he played Neon Clove.
What is? Can you see his agent pool in tier 2? Like, what did he
I honestly
play?
didn't check it. Maybe Kurt's got it in him right now.
Kurt, how confident do you feel navigating that website?
Not confident, but you know what? I'll get some reps in. We'll have it ready by next week, surely.
But I think that was the whole thing with DRG, right? They played. Dude, I remember talking about this best of 3, and I was talking to Chad after, and I was like, I think this is the first best of 3 where I've disliked all 6 comps that we've seen from this best of 3.
Wait, hold on.
I think it's the first ever best of 3 where I've
Oh, I
looked at it
see
and
a
gone
breach.
Like, oh,
The Lotus
I
one
didn't
was
get a
weird.
chance to watch
Very
this.
weird. Icebox, yeah, dude, their Icebox comp was batshit actually from DRG.
yeah.
It really was
What
crazy.
am I
Solo
looking
Harbor, and they
at,
just
bro?
tried to run at them the entire time.
What?
What's funny?
Oh
yeah,
my
it
a bold one.
was a
God.
funny one.
And then look at this one. We got 2022 Ascent against Clove, Omen, Yoru Vice.
Yeah.
It's the first best of 3 I've been like,
Oh,
I don't know what to watch it really.
The Clove, I could not figure out why they went for that, but
Comfort, right?
I mean, I don't know, I guess, but it was very weird.
it's very envy coded to be running the Clove. I somehow though, out of all 6 comps that I'm looking at here, the one that makes me the most mad is still the 2022 comp on Ascent. I think that one makes me more mad than the Icebox Arena Neon Harbor bullshit. Like guys, come on, how are we're still guys. 2025,
it is
guys,
like that.
come on,
dude, with a pistol and a bonus, 5 rounds. It's not looking good.
No, it's not good. It's not good. I think this DRG team looks like they've had a serious level up though. Because if Akeman's gonna Akeman looked very confident too and decisive. Like he didn't look like a rookie stepping into tier 1 for the first time. Obviously he's played tier 2 games, but he hasn't had like big experience. But he was never like freezing up in a 1v1. He was always taking his fight, but he wasn't like overextending super badly either. They obviously played a crazy comp on Icebox, but he was still like getting into the position where his team needed him. They clearly had some game plans for like Neon off rip in terms of his pathing on A. I think he's going to end up adding a lot to a team that was otherwise kind of... I don't want to say Vukashu and friends because it wasn't always that, but it definitely sometimes felt like he would just run around doing something totally different to the rest of the team and try to win on his own.
Yeah, it was... Again, as much as I'm worried about the comps, like long term, I do think that when you see 3 individuals just getting multi-kills after multi-kills and just winning rounds on their own, it's a very good sign of like that this team can kind of just make this work. And even if they are playing wacky stuff, just like the individuals probably carry them through. It's a firepower squad. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then that
How
does.
did I get to that game? I was tripping. Sorry about that.
That does it for our wrap up of China week 1. There was also another tournament where the Brazilian team, well, some of the Brazilian teams played against. It was like Furia, 2G, Crew, and Leviathan played against each other. But I think it makes sense to review that tournament next week when we're doing Preds for Americas, and we can kind of discuss in more depth like the roster moves and stuff. But those were good games. Like if you missed out on that tournament, the Sasi Tashinya tournament, I'd recommend going back and having a look. Like at least the final with Leviathan, considering that they've made like significant roster moves, it was kind of a banger game too. They started with BO1s and then the final was a BO5. Final 2 maps were a little bit shit, but the first 3 were very fun. The quality of play was not amazing by any means. I don't want to lead people along like this was some kind of like elite level tournament. It was definitely still scrappy, but a fun watch if you, I don't know, if you're bored and you don't like Wimbledon or something. So, let's move on to talking about our top 10 segment then. Let's crack on with it.
Oh boy.
Top 10.
It's gonna work.
Now, I'm going to start with this. We've labeled it here best players of all time. I swear to God it said top players of all time, and I've been using greatest players of all time. Are those different to anybody else, or am I just getting lost in semantics?
No, I think they are a little bit different.
Bit.
Great.
What do they mean to
is
you
like,
then?
Well, this is the thing. This is what I was arguing to myself about. I don't really know. Greatest in theory is like more achievement based than in my opinion, greatest is like more achievement stuff and like impact and just overall everything. And then best, in my opinion, is like more skill, basically, is where I view it in my head. But it took me a while to get there.
So I would agree, because to me, like the way I did it, I don't know if this is like a spoiler, but to me, I was thinking of it more as like the impact and like what did they really mean to that team, or whatever during that meta, or et cetera, et cetera. Whereas best, I would agree, is much more stat based. Like, is he fragging harder, right? Like,
yeah, it felt like there were so many potential options for important criteria that I endlessly moved a guy up by 1 spot and then another guy down by 1, and just kept doing that over and over because I would think of another point to justify someone being slightly ahead of them. But then ultimately, what the fuck? Because they're both like they're so close, and it's like, what am I doing? Just lock it in. Just lock it in. But I mean, because I think you're looking at least for me, I was looking at, of course, achievement, tournament victories, longevity, height of their skill relative to the field, as you said, Shoba, the importance to the teams that they were on, value that they bring outside of the server? How much do we want to factor in leadership, IGLing, what people have brought to their team culture? There's a million fucking. I mean, I was on the verge of. I'm like, dude, do I add like Celsius to like number 16 or something for what he's like? I mean, he was like, I'm like, he was at the first Reykjavik, and he's so important to the Sentinels, and they're like, do I have to fucking find a way to get? And I didn't, but that's the level that it got to. Where I'm like, not top 10, but I'm like, so I like put him in somewhere like 15, 16. 17. That's not even on the list. It was only to 15. But
I got like a short list of about 25 players, something like that, and tried to whittle them down and order them. And it was honestly a nightmare. And also, while I was streaming, I'm co-streaming and constantly getting distracted by people arguing in the chat because while we're talking about it, I feel like mostly trying to argue with different versions of ourselves, recognizing that it is quite an open, subjective question. If you ask the people, they've got very strict rules that they believe in.
Oh, yeah.
And they've all got different, very strict rules that they believe in.
Yeah.
And so one person's list is just utterly different to somebody else's list because they've used completely different criteria. And they're very strict about it too.
People were adamant, dude. Very, very adamant on like what 100% justifies the greatest. And dude, I'm still not even sure. I did do you know what? I tell you what, I really messed up because there definitely might be people missing from mine, even like top 5 missing from mine, because I remember doing it from the list that Kurt gave us, and then I got lost midway through. I was just like, is Forsaken in there? Is he not in there? And then I think I replaced him, and at one point I had 2 of the same person, and I was like, wait, I've gotten rid of someone like really high up, and I don't know where he is. So mine could be pretty fun, and I didn't write down.
I mean, Brett, you didn't write it down. You just used the Google form.
I have it written down, or I'd have forgotten. No, but I feel you.
I mean, you're going to do a Bren. You're going to leave off like the winner or something.
Dude, I've left us probably a couple of big ones.
All right, well, we'll get to individual lists later on, right?
Tough.
So the way that it worked is that 9 members of Plat Chat submitted their lists. So Paperthin, Achilleos, TMV, Sliggy, Wyatt, and Chobra, and myself, and then Bren too, always Bren. And then in addition, so those 9 Plat Chatters lists are going to get combined together. Bearing in mind that we all probably used very different well, maybe some same criteria, who knows? So they all get combined together into the overall Plat Chat top 10 or top 20 list of greatest of all times. Then in addition, we had 4,500 submissions from the community that then also get blended together too. So we're going to go through our Plat Chat top 10. Then afterwards, we can have a look at the like overall list. We can have a look at individual lists, and then we'll have a look at the community list as well.
Okay.
And maybe at the end of this, we'll have an answer. Or maybe we'll realize there is no answer. I don't know.
All right, I have 2 questions before we get started. Who do you think the community number 1 is, and who do you think the Plat Chat number 1 is?
Oh, I think community number 1 is probably.
Is it different?
It's different because we have
it's
a
different.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm not surprised that it's different though.
Really?
Because I feel like for us, I think it's easier for a top 3 to be like reordered pretty easily.
I would say there's a top 4 that are actually in the hunt.
Wait, who's the 4th?
What for number 1?
But number 1, yeah, depending on your criteria.
Wait, who's the 4th?
Yeah, wait.
No.
Wait, I don't even believe we even
who's the 3rd? I only think there's 2.
I mean, this shows what's going on. I mean, apparently I'm just more open-minded than you, Wyatt.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think who are the top. I mean, Chronicle, Osbos, Yay, Yoy.
It's not Yay. Mine at least wouldn't be Yay.
Anyway, Yoy is there. You do have Yoy, number 3.
I think we're jumping ahead a bit.
No, wait, who? I can't believe. Really? I'm gonna be real. I thought it would just be Chronicle for both, to be honest. I mean, I'm giving away where I stand, but
so did I, because I thought people would rate wins more. I mean, but I assume it's between Kron and Aspas.
After another top 2 finish where he played fucking lights out,
I will say, just earlier today, I had a ton of, obviously pretty Pacific biased on my stream. I had a ton of people coming in arguing that now that it's been proven by lifting a trophy and the MVP that Forsaken has to be number one. So like,
Number one.
I don't know where the community is coming from, quite frankly. 'Cause
Wow.
if there's people out there saying Forsaken has to be number one. Like,
I mean, he deserves to be on the list. Don't get me wrong, but number one is bold.
It's a bold jump.
Dude,
yeah.
I'm excited. So then I would guess that we did Chronicle as one, and then the community did Aspas as one. Would be my guess.
Okay,
Really?
I feel like let's get
Okay.
into it.
We gotta
I'm
see- yeah,
excited.
we gotta find out.
I do kind of want to go through this a little more slowly though, and argue about it more, if that's
Jesus.
okay. Because I really feel like this, because normally our lists are based on predictions. This is the first time we've done a list that I can remember based on like results. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there is more to actually get your teeth into than just like, I think this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get started then with the Plat chat. Bear in mind that we're all possibly advocating for a list that none of us agree with because it's a compromise. Here is the Plat chat top 10 greatest players of all time list.
Dude, I'm
Starting
anxious.
at number 10.
I'm already mad.
Yeah, dude,
I haven't even seen a name, and I'm already feeling my blood boil.
I'm so anxious to.
Number 10 on the list
Oh.
is Leo. Often described by coaches and teammates as a perfect player, Leo almost always made the correct plays for his team. The
He's
community
the
ranked him-
perfect player, and I mean,
The community ranked him number 5, and we collectively ranked him number 10.
Pretty low.
But wait.
That's
what do I
pretty
look
low.
shocked? I mean, hold on.
Are we all agreeing he looks a bit low on this list?
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
Yes.
He looks a little low, huh?
I didn't. I struggled with. Okay, I struggled with Leo a lot because he just didn't have his reign of terror did not last that long relative to other people in the top 10, but holy shit, when he was on top, he was fucking him. So I really did struggle as to where to place him, but I had him higher than this. 10 feels
Dude,
fucking crazy. That feels criminal.
I can tell you who to blame. So
Oh, don't tell me I left them off.
No. Let's wait until the individual lists later.
Well,
Kurt,
if
I
none
want
of
to
the
keep it.
people, everybody here put Leo on their list.
I actually think I know.
Wait, someone
But
put him off
anyway.
the list?
Oh, someone
didn't-
didn't even put him on the
Not
top
even in the
20.
top 15?
That had to have happened for it to be 10.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it must have
Bren.
been.
It's Bren.
Do you think? How many people do you think it was? Do you think it was
It's
one?
Well, it had to be more
think
than
it was
one, right?
two.
For- It had to
think
be
it was
more than
two?
one.
It was
Yeah, do we need names?
Yeah, it
it
has
was
to be.
4.
4 out of 9 of us didn't have Leo.
There's 9 of us. 4
No, no,
of us
no.
are on the show. All of us had him on the list. So
Whoever
majority of the other guys.
Wait, what?
I actually truly believe that we should name the 4 people who did not put Leo in the top 15 and remove them all from Plat Chat.
Yeah, but we might need to redo this. Dude.
Do you want me? Do you want me to name drop?
Let's-
Or?
Yes,
I think we have to do.
100%.
Oh, go on then. Let's do
no,
it now.
I need
Let's
to
do
hear
it now.
I gotta hear it.
I need names,
Do you
dude.
need names? Just
Yeah.
guess. It's 4.
Bren.
Bren. Bren forgot.
Okay, that's correct.
Seth,
Thin.
That's correct. And Paper Thin
Yeah.
is
Paper
also
Thin as
correct.
well.
Who's the
Those
last
were the 2
person?
that I was thinking of.
wait, who's the third?
It was Dan.
Clint. Oh damn! Oh my god!
Dryad. Oh,
Dryad.
no. Oh,
And then-
no.
But
bro.
so Clint had
TMV
him.
Yeah, the only
So it was
person
only
not here that had
TMV.
it was TMV. The only person not
Oh
here that
my
had
gosh.
him was TMV.
Also,
Oh, that's a tragedy.
I
That's a tragedy.
apologize on behalf of all the Pacific brethren. 'Cause, like,
We'll have to get them in next week. We'll have to get them in next week and grill them.
I mean, how do you not even just?
Not even like a
Just-
pity 15.
Yeah, just even off the fucking fact that he won 2 trophies internationally, that's not enough to get in the top 15. And
Okay,
was
I'm gonna-
clearly the best initiator at
Let
the time.
let me present the devil's advocate argument, all right? Because I'm
No.
gonna let me put myself
No.
in the costume of the devil. Leo didn't even play that long, right? And when he did play, I mean, he was on like Guild and shit. Like, he wasn't even on a good team.
Mate, he played
Wait,
for
he played at
4
like
years.
Good on
Copenhagen.
Okay.
4 years.
Okay. I just
4
want-
years, yeah. How many of those were at the top?
Dude, he played for just as long as Aspas at the top.
Yeah. No, he has been.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit
Why
less.
does
A
it
bit
not
less.
feel that way?
No, I would say he played for like almost a year less in like terms of proper
I think the
top
difference
level
is that Aspas like
competition.
immediately was shining on the international stage right away, whereas Leo started shining like regionally, like 100%, right? So like that's the difference.
Yes.
I will listen as someone who I assume I was. I don't. Well, I guess we'll find out. But I was probably on the lower end for Leo. Although thankfully, apparently, I'm not banned from the show because I had him on the list. But my argument was, my argument was that if we're doing greatest of all time today, like if Valorant ended today, obviously not his fault. But it's just been a while since you know what I mean? Like if I put everything in just a vacuum of 5 years, then for me, it's like hard to put him much higher simply, obviously, because of the circumstances. So like his peak may be a competitor for like top 3, top 1, whatever, but that's a different list in my head.
Yeah, like I think you could argue that Leo at his peak compared to the other best players in the world at their time at their peak. I think you could argue his peak was the greatest of all time. I think there are people who would say that.
I mean,
I don't.
Over Ye
would.
I wouldn't, but I think some people would say that he would put them over Ye. Yes.
Right.
I think what was tough for me to put him too high once I started getting towards like top 5 or so is that. Though he was really good for a long time, when you are comparing him to someone like Aspas who had the longevity, Aspas was always on teams that you thought going into an international they could win. You didn't think that about Guild. Though Leo was very good on Guild, you never thought that they were going to win a tournament. And then the second year with Fnatic was just so strange and riddled with complications.
What, 24?
Yes. That it just
he was
so hard to
in
judge.
2024 though, man. Like
Yeah, he was. Yes,
he was absolutely on fire right before
I
he
know.
retired.
That's what I mean. But that's why it was so. It's just so tough to judge. If he comes back and he could be the greatest player of all time. Like despite being 10 on this bullshit list that's bullshit already, he could be number 1. He could be number 1. He has the easy upward mobility. He can get to the top.
If he came back, you mean?
I'm already so mad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm already pissed off. This is an insane way to begin. I want to be very clear as well. I was giving the devil's advocate argument there, but I definitely had Leo high up. Let's move on though. Number 9 on the list. A greater player than Leo, according to Plat chat. Number 9 greatest of all time is Sassy, who won a Masters and a Champions. The community ranked at 14th, not valuing that perhaps as heavily as us on the show, but had a let me give Wyatt's molding out of control.
Bro.
Wait,
Are you molding it? Which direction are you molding in?
Yeah, up or down?
Yeah.
He's got to be higher.
Okay.
Are we
all
for
right.
real?
No.
I think this is about right.
I
Really?
agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm okay
Wow,
with this.
I have him. Not
Okay,
a
Wyatt, give the
huge
sell
amount
then.
higher.
Sell this guy. Sell the bold.
Well, I'll tell you now. I have him in 6th because of he hits so many important factors for me in terms of longevity, multiple championships with multiple rosters. He was within his region. He was the best early days. He had a stretch of time where he was like. Aside from, until Aspas came in, he was the best player for me in Brazil for a while. Until Aspas came and then became the best player in Brazil with the 2 of them on Loud, where they had a super dominant year. He's a Champions winner. Goes to a team where he's then speaking English, fucking wins again, has another really solid year with Sen, and has all of the leadership abilities that was so important for them in terms of the team culture that year as well. He just hits so many important factors for me.
I think I agree with everything that you've said. The thing that brought him down from 6th to about this level on my list, though, was that I felt like his reign of being like you said, I agree with you that there was a time that he was the best player coming out of Brazil. And even in 2022, you could have argued for him. I think my memory's a little bit hazy on this, but I think he was one of the players in the debate for MVP of the champs that they won.
He was.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was like, I remember him being phenomenally good at that event and that year as a whole, actually. So it's not like he fell off in 2022, but those 2 years of him being fantastic, then what followed from there was not really too much because of him, but a lot of role changing, a lot of reduction in terms of impact over the following year. 2023 was a real like slump year for him, which again was just because Sen was so like messed up, really. And then I thought even when he won afterwards, he wasn't in any way providing that same level of impact he was back in 2022. There's no argument that he was like an MVP candidate in the Madrid trophy. He was an incredibly important piece of the puzzle, and now we're maybe seeing like the behind the scenes stuff that he contributed so massively to team culture as well. But in terms of like actual in-server impact, it was a much either weaker player or higher level of competition 2 years on from the fact.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. He in that run with Loud a couple years ago, he was still one of the highest fragging players on his team, which he wasn't on the Sen team. But then he added other layers to himself as a competitor that were equally as valuable to that team's success as opposed to what he was bringing on Loud with the firepower in addition to everything else. But
Yeah.
I don't hate number 9. I'm more mad at the community one. I think 14 is
14,
fucking criminal.
yeah.
14's low, yeah.
14 is crazy. Because I think the thing that is like really important for me is something that I kind of changed up was like multiple metas, multiple teams. I think if you did it multiple metas, multiple teams, that's like a big standout for me as well. And he won with 2 teams and he looked good with 3 teams if we're including Vikings because he was probably their highest fragger as well. So for me, it's like it's 2 teams where he won and then 3 teams where he looked good and one of their better players. So.
All right, very, very deserving candidate to be on the top 10 list. Let's move on, though, to number 8. So the 8th greatest player of all time on this list is Boaster. The community rank, 7th. So for the first time, somewhat aligned between the two of us here. From esports vlogger to 2 times Masters winner, Boaster has really been at the helm of Fnatic's success. And I think this, rather than his in-server impact, is what's getting him to the 8th place here. But I think it's unlikely that we're going to see another IGL on this list, because who the hell would you have above Boaster? I mean, maybe Forsaken, I suppose.
Maybe Nuts.
Maybe Nats could be in here too.
Yeah.
But the reason that I think Boaster deserves a ton of credit for his IGLing and leading of Fnatic is kind of what you were alluding to, Sliggy, is that it's actually been multiple iterations of a Fnatic team that he's managed to find enormous amounts of success with, whether that's trophies or making it deep at tournaments. It's not just like when you look at, let's use Finesse or Sadak as similar examples, there is a team. There is normally a 5-person team that you kind of identify with the roster that they got enormous amounts of success with, and now Boaster's done it with like quite a few variations here on a theme.
Yeah. I think that's fair. So okay, this is one of my biggest ones. I didn't have him in my top 15, and this is purely because when I was going through, I was like, again, he has all the achievements, but when I put all the achievements next to actual stats, I just can't do it. Like if someone went to me and just went, "Is Zekken a greater player than Boaster?" I couldn't say yes. So I would have to put people like that above.
You mean the other way?
Yeah.
It's Boaster. Yeah. That's what I mean. Is Boaster a better player than Zekken? And I would always find myself saying the Boaster's like not, even though he is the best IGL in the game, in my opinion, just because of what you said.
Different question though. Is he
goes in like a separate?
Is he more important to a team's success than Zekken?
Yeah. Probably for like meta stuff and reads. But the problem with that is we don't know. Like, I agree with Boaster. We probably know the most because we've had like 5 years of it, different iterations of metas and teams. But if you're factoring that in with IGLs, you don't know for the others. Like if we're just isolating like Sadak, we don't know for sure that it was him that kind of did the Harbor, Viper, Sky stuff. So we don't actually for sure know the actual impact they have as an IGL. So when I was doing this list, I actually just crossed off out IGLing, to be honest. Even though Boaster is the best argument for it because there's 5 years of proof. So like I'm not even mad at him being 8th. I just didn't put him on the list because it's just an unknown for me, and I'm just going off knowns. And I couldn't say that
we
he
were
was
talking
greater
to
than
somebody.
others.
We were talking to someone last week. I can't remember who was on the show where they said that they would just have IGLs as like a completely separate list.
Yeah, that's
and I did
exactly
find
how
it
I would
hard
do
to
it.
rank Boaster. I didn't know where to put him on my list because I felt like I wanted to include him, but I found it very difficult because the criteria is so different, because it's so removed from his in-game impact.
It's a separate list. If for sure is a separate list, because, and again, we also don't know. But for Boaster, we do have the best inkling that he has insane impact and is very good at multiple meta reads.
Okay, let's
He
go.
deserves to be here because he's the beast.
Let's go for number 7 then. Sliggy hates him, but that's fine. Boaster makes the list anyway. Number 7 of our Plat Chat top 10 greatest of all time is Meteor, 2-time MVP winner, Masters
15.
Bangkok, and previously you could argue, but the community ranked at 15th. I mean, the community's got some very, very different people in their top 10. Incredibly different people in their top 10. But Meteor has had some of the shortest longevity, I would guess, out of anybody that we're going to see on this list, because he's only really been like a superstar tournament-winning-esque player since he made the transition over to playing Sentinel after 2023, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Since
started
2024 till now, Gen.G till now.
But he's been superbly like impactful and effective in terms of winning titles, Chobra.
Yeah, and I think this, for me, Meteor, I think the way he stands out from some other people who would also have short terms of success is that even just from a observer's standpoint, if you like sit and watch the games, his impact is tangible. Like if he, and we can kind of see it retroactively too, right? With like Gen.G having to switch things, obviously meta has changed as well, but and then like T1 when he's able to play his role versus not. But I think when he is shining, like it's very clear that it's not even so much that did someone else order him to do it or not, but he's often put in these situations where he has to succeed for their ideas to work. Like he has to win 1 or 2 duels, a lot of times on his own, and he does it, right? And sometimes it's very clear that he's taking his own timings because the other, rest of the team members are busy doing something. So I think in that sense, it's like, okay, it is short, but like if you really sat down and watched even just the mini map, like you would be hard pressed to argue that he was not a very, very important foundation to both times that his teams have won Masters.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing as well. It's the 2-time buff with 2 different teams and two different metas. And for one of those, like not as much as the other one, but for one of those with Gen.G, he was the best player. He was the most impactful. So
For sure.
It's just so hard. Again, you don't have the longevity that kind of goes against him, but dude, in terms of just like actual impact to win them the 2 trophies, like he's so high up there. And again, 2 different metas, 2 teams. That's impressive as hell.
People like Meteor also highlight how short the game's lifespan has actually been. Like we're doing this at 5 years because it's the first time it's ever felt reasonable to have these kind of conversations. And already you see, cases like Meteor where the time span is like really short. He's been good for 2 out of 5 of the years, but I will
also say that I think if you are looking at this, like you have to rate 2024 and 2025 as harder as well because teams are better. Like if you look at 2023, I hate to shit on most of the teams there, but like only 6 teams really knew what the fuck they were doing. So it's like it's a lot harder these days to actually win stuff.
I do want to ask how many of us here had him higher than 7th? Because some people had to have put him higher than 7th, right? Unless we all put him on 7th.
I can't remember my list, mate, so I'm out. I think I had him at 8th, maybe.
I had him at
8th.
9th.
I had him at 9th as well.
All right.
So I guess
Seth and Clint put him at 2.
I mean, I just want to gauge a little bit. They forgot Leo existed and they put Meteor higher than 7th. That's all I wanted to point out.
Yeah, Seth had him at 11th and Pipperton had him at 2.
Okay.
2.
Right,
I knew one of
a
them.
big difference.
One of them, but then someone else must have had him way higher too to drag that up
No.
further. No,
Yeah.
I really was
He
at.
had him the next highest at 6.
Right.
6.
Oh,
Damn.
okay.
So-
I was feeling generous.
So then,
Yeah.
so then Meteor's benefited here from something that I was constantly having to tell my chat, which is that as long as you get consistently picked at around a certain ranking, if everyone above you, people think they're like amazing or shit, then you're going to end up overtaking them just like on aggregate. Which kind of applies also to when you're thinking about how good somebody is. Like if they've been very good, but not the best in the world for a period of time, they're probably going to rise up a list like this just based on averages. Let's go for the number 6 though. Number 6, greatest player of all time according to Platchat's fraudulent
Getting close.
rankings.
I'm less mad at the last couple.
Alpha, yeah.
Ooh.
Alpha, yeah, one of the top performers all time Masters events. A huge reason why they won at Masters Tokyo. Almost an MVP, in my opinion, at the most recent event at Toronto as well. Put on fabulous performances there. Definitely deserving to be up towards the upper end of this list, I think.
Hey, he's too good. That's the issue, man. He's too good. And like, I get that when you look at Fnatic, they won 2 trophies and it was the same meta. I think that's something that people kind of forget. So maybe it is like overhyped a little bit. But I will say that this guy's just a monster on a role that shouldn't be fragging as hard as he does. And he just does shit his own way. He's a sentinel duelist. If you're looking at 2023, just entering or just opping with a Cypher. So I mean, he's just like, you have to include mechanics in this, and he's one of the best we've got in the game.
You were asking me before which 4 players I thought were potential number 1s. This is actually the other one that probably
interesting.
most
Okay.
people wouldn't expect. Because
Okay.
I think a lot of people wouldn't suspect Alpha as being a GOAT candidate at all. And now I think the longevity argument is one of the biggest. Now, I didn't have him at number 1. I want to make that clear. But I thought he was one of the people that, especially if you're looking forward to champs this year, if he ends up having a like ridiculous performance there and Fnatic end up winning or something like that, I think, especially considering that, you know, Leo's retired, people that Alpha's played with before are now on different teams. Alpha is like a central comp, a massively important member of the squad that looks like they're still going to be in with a chance of winning trophies. And to be honest, he's at this point, he's kind of got the same amount of time as a tippity top elite player as Leo, I think, because he's, you know, been able to play for so much longer while Leo has been retired.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a little bit of a hot take, but
I don't think it's
I think
that
he's in
hot.
with the running.
Unfortunately, because he's on a team with Chronicle, they're going to have the same success together. And so you're just going to, a lot of people will just endlessly continue to put Chronicle above him. Though, if Alpha continues to have performances as he just did at Toronto, that is definitely one reasonable way he could pass
overtake,
Chronicle,
right?
because holy shit, man. But,
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, this feels pretty fair to me, though. This is about right. I had him.
Pretty reasonable. Let's crack into our top 5 then. Top 5 at 5th of the greatest players of all time in Valorant.
Oof.
We have TenZ.
Ends.
A huge
4.
performance. The community ranked him at 4th as well. Yeah, so I mean we're tight with what the community was thinking. He's a 2-time trophy lifter. He was obviously massively MVP, utterly dominant in terms of the first time he lifted a trophy while playing Duelist, and then had a big rebound to become another, like, one of the best players in the world whilst playing a completely different role, playing Omen, KO, that kind of stuff, when he got his second trophy too. Yeah, clearly one of the greats.
Yeah. I mean, I think exactly like you said, the fact that he was, like, bar none, the hard carry for the first time. And obviously, like Sali said, if you want to take into account, like, the playing field was easier, etc., that's fair. Like, I'm fine with that argument. But I think if you think about the impact, comes in as a sub at the time, right? It wasn't building up with the team the whole time. Hard carries, and then is able to change roles and still have very meaningful impact, even though maybe he wasn't like a hard carry when he was playing the Omen as much on Sentinels later. I think that it counts for a lot because and he was here for basically nearly the full duration at an international level. Again, obviously system changed, etc. So you can take that into account, but
yeah, this is one of the players where despite it being the first year of Valorant, the first year of Valorant, Tens was clearly the best player in the world and gapped everybody. And there are only a couple players who have ever been able to be the best player in the world at the time, with no debate, because there is clearly space between them and number 2. And that was the case for him in the first year. And even though it is the first year, him being so ahead of the curve and really defining how to play, the early duelist meta agents has still held a lot of weight for me. And then obviously, you said, Josh, I mean, you just can't ignore the rebound, obviously, late in his career to win another trophy.
And I think that's something that that's very rare, coming back like so much later in a different role to perform to this level. It is kind of nuts. He's probably a little bit higher than I would put him.
Agreed.
But again, it ticks the boxes of two times winners and different teams, different metas, and like this was a big gap in between us all. So it's very impressive what he did, and it's like what you guys are saying. Just dude, that first Reykjavik, bro, they could have had 4 players. They would have won that event, man. This guy was a monster, man. Like he's the reason Jet got nerfed. He is.
Yeah, I think just to kind of double down on what Sliggy just said, though, I think to me, rather than being like a top 3rd player consistently over, let's say, 4 out of 5 years, being like a top player, like the top player for, let's say, half a year, and then being able to come back and have, relative impact on a different role years later, to me, that counts for a lot more to me than being like, you're a top 5 player for 4 years.
Let me be a little hater for a second though, because I feel like we've glazed in
that's
for quite a
surprising.
while. I mean, I think he's
Top
a bit
10 player list number 5. Let's talk about what's wrong with him.
Well, no, I'm not saying what's.
Go on, Josh. Go on.
I think aside from the periods where he was phenomenal, right, which is the beginning of 2021, not really the end of 2021. Some of 2020 as well, you could argue too, right? But I mean, we're really stretching into the archaic history books for that. And then the rebound in 2024, he was broadly doing nothing. Like 2022, the end of 21, 2022, 23,
Bro,
and
2022,
25.
they gave that motherfucker Shroud to play with. Respect, no disrespect to Shroud.
Damn, dude.
But that's the type of shit they were on. Like,
So, that's true.
I mean, do you remember the management insanity of that year?
It was.
I don't want to cope too hard, but the Sentinels never getting their team a coach era, like that whole stretch of time. So I'm gonna cope a little bit. That was a ridiculous year. Yeah,
they did mismanage. But I think what goes against that argument too is that the shift of role was the thing that really got him back. Like at that point, they were still trying to hammer the like Tens duelist arc really heavy. I think he's accomplished a lot. I think he's an incredible player. But I think having him above Alpha and Leo is not something that I would ever ascribe to personally.
Yeah, I agree.
But he still deserves to be on the list
Where did you
in the
put
top
him?
10.
I'm
I
curious.
only put him a
think
couple
I-
places down at 7th.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think
I'm not saying I put him in the
offset
bin.
you.
Right. I'm not saying I put him in the bin.
I offset him as well.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Okay.
we both. Yeah, I had him higher on the list than this.
Okay.
So,
Damn,
Well,
really?
yeah.
let's see who our collective ended up putting higher on the list than 5th. So cracking
I am
into the top
concerned.
5 at 4th of the
There's-
greatest players of all time.
There's one we're missing that I think is bullshit.
Forsaken. Forsaken. The community ranked as 3rd,
I told you.
and we ranked as 4th. Now this, dare I say, a tad bit of recency bias, perhaps.
Whoa.
But maybe not.
Oh,
Sliggy,
ton.
go crazy.
I mean, I think there is a little bit of recency bias, but if you're looking for the only thing he has against him is that he doesn't have 2 titles. I think a big thing is like, dude, flex is hard. Like,
Okay, but
we're
just so we're
talking
clear.
about Tens playing 2 roles. This guy plays fucking everything. Plays
Yeah.
every single
Yes.
agent there is. Like, if you're
but-
going 10 should be high because of 2 roles, this guy's literally playing 20 times his agents.
But
Like,
In 2023, RB was still generally considered a better flex than Forsaken out of consistency and initially higher agent pool. By the end of the year, Forsaken had played more. And like, I'm not trying to take away from Forsaken, but I'm just saying him being the like GOAT of flex mechanically, like him landing harbor walls on top of the roof on Bind, like that was still like a year and a half ago. Like I'm telling, like he trolls so much, like not in an intentional throwing way, but like, you know, they're like the way they play, the way he plays, it only really got reined in and refined in the past year. I won't even say like just Toronto, like the past year, but I mean, like to say that he was always an amazing flex, I think is like dude was
Bro, he
having
was the best.
ego
He was
op
the best
battles
Yord.
with Mixwell at internationals. They would just keep trading off, buying ops, and just ego peeking each other for like the longest time. Like I'm just saying, and he's good at it.
Dude, I'm loving this because I get all of the reppers being the Paper X hater and Chobra's just fighting my battles for me. And Chobra's from Pacific, so like, come at him, bro.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Okay, I had another point. So I found it extremely difficult to move Forsaken too far up the list because I don't think he was worthy of being on the list when he was the duelist player for Paper X. I think since he's moved to playing the flex stuff, I think he has had that progression to become insane, like unbelievably good. But I would agree with Choba that it's more to do with the last year or so. I would say I wrote in my document like what period of time do I think they were in the elite category of players? And for Forsaken, despite the fact he's played for like 5 years, I only had as like 2. I think 2 out of 5 of the years he's been like a truly elite level player. And a lot of the time we saw him, you know, back when they would play those like Jet Rainer composition stuff. I don't think he was. I think he was like a player with a huge amount of potential back then, but I don't think he was, you know, in the same
which 2 years
category.
2022,
years,
right?
Josh?
2022,
2022 and 2023. Yeah, I was gonna say those 2, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying the years as well. I was kind of piecing up, so I'm not saying that it was like entire blocks of years. But I think the sum total of the time in which he's been playing phenomenal Valorant.
To add as well with what I said at the beginning, if we were to do outlooks, I would be fine. You know what I mean? Like, I think he still can get... In fact, I would firmly believe, if you ask me, who do you think eventually, by the end of their career, would be a top 1 greatest of all time player? I think Forsaken would be a candidate 100%. Like, obviously you wouldn't know, but I think that would be 100%. But if we're doing, like, today, if Valorant just ended, if Riot just pulled the plug on the servers, I don't... You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a mixed bag.
Where did you have him then, Chobra?
What?
Yeah, dude, that's a
Where
good
did you have
question.
him?
I had him at 1, 2, 3, 4, 6th, so not that much lower.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like 4th and then 3rd.
Wait.
That would imply that people had him in top 3.
Josh, where did you have him?
Yeah, Josh, where did you have him? That's a great question.
You didn't have him in top 10.
Josh, where did you put him?
No,
You had him, right?
I'm not the guy dragging this up. I'm the guy
Surely.
dragging this down from number
know,
1
that's
by
what
the sound of things. I'm the guy desperately keeping an anchor on this kind of conversation.
Where did you rank
He
him?
was on the list. He was on the list.
Say you're waffling. You're waffling.
13th I had Forsaken, and I'll
Okay, you know
justify
what?
it to the grave.
Can we just cut out everything I said, because I'm helping the wrong guy here?
Yeah, wait, I'm just too curious now. Where did you put him, Sliggy?
I put him 4th. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I think this is perfect for him.
I put him
Dude,
in 10th,
I think
which
flex.
I might regret.
I think flex players are fucking and like I'm talking true flex, not
Okay.
I'm playing Viper and Flash Initiator flex. Like true flex is
But I
fucking
just
legit
wanna-
and really hard, man. I think he's one of the best. Him and
Did you have
Chronicle
RB
are,
in your
like-
top 15?
No, dude. I don't have anyone that hasn't got a trophy.
Okay, because he didn't have a trophy. Okay, that's all right. Different argument.
Like,
Okay.
if you give me best flex players, sure, he'll be up there. But greatest, man, win something.
I regret things on my list now because of this. I should have put him. Anyway, we'll look later. Go on.
Top three podium finishes for greatest players of all time. Now we're talking. In the 3rd position is Durka. This guy is...
You morons.
Wow, the community putting him at 8th. This is one of the players... one of the players you could argue for number one.
He's really regretting that
are you guys actually dumb? Did you just miss like, the whole first 3 years of the game? What are you doing? And that's
like,
crazy.
Eighth
You actually don't know what you're
is
talking about. You don't know what you're talking about.
Criminal.
Fucking mental.
Criminal. I mean, even up until last year, am I misremembering? Him at Champs, he was a fucking savage at Champs 2024.
Yeah, he was keeping them alive.
Eighth is fucking crazy. I mean, this is about where I had him. I don't know how you couldn't have him in the top 4 at
Yeah.
the
I
leagues.
don't really see
You
how
would-
you
you
could
would
have
have
him
to-
outside the top 3.
Well,
You would have to
I
not
had
be
him
watching
5,
Valorant
but-
for the first 5 years.
Yeah, I actually put him in 4th because I'm coping about someone else, but I think he has to be at least top 4. I don't. One thing I was thinking about though with Durka that I think is a question I wanted to ask: is there a period of time for you guys where you felt he was the definitive number 1 player in the game, or was he just always like an easy top 3? So he's just cemented at the top here, and a potential number 1 even for some because he was just so consistently in the top 3 or so.
I think it depends on what you define as like a period of time. Does one tournament define a period of time?
No, I would say like
No.
give it at least like
2 tournaments.
6 months, like 2 tournaments. Yeah,
Like a
there needs to
span
be
of 2
There
tournaments?
needs to be a stretch. Yeah,
I would say, just as a slight tangent though, I think almost no player has that. Like, it's very rare that you have a player that's been the best across multiple.
It's because we haven't had a meta for longer than 6 months. The only meta we had for 6 months was Fnatic, Lock-in, and then Tokyo.
well,
Chamber.
chamber
Only
meta.
time.
Chamber.
Chamber.
Yeah.
Chamber. Oh, actually, that's true too.
Yeah.
So
that-
Chamber
Ye,
was
absolutely. Like Ye was just hands down the best player across the whole of 2022. But then it's like for Fnatic, I was arguing Leo was like incredible for that period of time. But I mean, Alpha played such incredible Valorant at Tokyo that maybe you could even disagree with that.
Dude,
There aren't many players.
every champs, he was their best player. Was he not?
True. That I would
every single
mostly
champs.
agree with.
Like the big events where he needs the rest of his team to step up, he was the best.
Yeah.
All of them, I'm pretty sure.
He was nuts.
To me, I think he suffers from the typical on an amazing team problem where it's like some other people, you could argue, like they literally made the team for their entire career, even if they didn't lift a trophy, right? Like this team for all 3 tournaments was surviving and then getting top 2 and then surviving again simply because of that one player, or they like had to work around that player and that player delivered. Whereas Fnatic was always a team with amazing players throughout. So that's kind of similar to what Wyatt just asked, is that like, yeah, Durka, I agree with Sliggy. He was probably their best player at all the champs, etc. But like, to me, it's hard to think that Fnatic was Durka's team, if that makes sense.
But I think,
Which
yeah,
isn't
I
his
think
fault.
The
It's just-
further
yeah.
back you go, though, the more it was, I think. Because when you start with the first LAN event,
Yes,
that is Durka. I mean,
True,
Durka
true.
was that team to begin with. I think he was the biggest reason why, and the fact that Boaster had got a really good system and understood how to play the game more than a lot of the other teams. But in terms of like actual individuals, that was the Durka version of Fnatic. And as the pieces changed around, Durka was, like a stone in the middle of the ocean. He was rock solid. It was him and Boaster.
Sinking?
Well, no, sorry, I don't mean sinking. I mean like a static island.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Fnatic up until lock-in, up until the super team was formed, was like Durka and Boaster's journey to find a trophy together, like subbing pieces in and out, and Durka always remained. He was always pretty consistent. I mean, he's had like 2 periods of time, maybe 3, where I think it's 3 now where he's played badly. He played badly before one of the champs, because I remember we didn't even rate him as a top 20 player, and then he fucking farmed.
Yep, that was like 2022. I want to say.
Yeah.
Something
That
like
was
that.
early days.
I think
Yeah,
that was
the,
21.
The Durka top 21 bit, that was early.
It was very early.
days.
That
But
was you
anyway,
guys, though.
that was a short period of time. A short period of time where he had a domestic slump. And then he had the kickoff last year was not particularly great.
True.
And then he's just had a stage now where he didn't look particularly great. And like, those are short periods of time that stand out because the norm is so good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think he has to be in a spot like this.
He's one of the most consistent. He is one of the most consistent duelists we've had in the game, and
Also, bro,
and
how
go
do you
get
play
multiple
Duelist
different
for the
teams.
first ever LAN event, and you're still good enough to play Duelist at the most, well, not the most
That's what I
recent LAN
mean.
event, the one right before that.
Well, dude, the only reason this guy's not making events now is because he's sending it into a site on his own with no help, and he's trying to 1v5 people. Like, it's not his fault at the moment. Dude, I think that's crazy. Everyone's supposed to raise like the first 3 years. It's insane recency bias to put him 8th. I think third is
eighth
perfect.
is crazy.
I think you
Okay.
could have an argument to put him first.
You could.
do.
I really think you could. Let's move on though to our top 2. Now, I think we know who this top 2 is, and now once you start getting to this point, the rage will bubble up from all the people that were left off from your personal list.
There is
but
a big misser.
There is a big miss. There is a big miss, and honestly, we've talked about him quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
But okay.
Wait. Who? Wait.
think you know who.
I know who. Wait.
Okay.
Do I?
You should know. who.
Maybe.
Well, there's 2. I'm thinking of 2 people that I
was
thought
thinking
I
of
would
2 as
see
well.
that I have not seen, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Anyway, yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. Put the rage aside for a moment and bask in the splendor that is our number 2 pick. The top 10
the
greatest players
splendor.
of all time. Number 2, Aspas. The fan favorite Aspas nearly tops our list. The community did pick him as the best player of all time, the greatest player of all time. Out of 4,574 total submissions, Aspas was picked 3,889 times. Bro, that's a confusing stat. 15% of you didn't pick Aspas at all on your list.
How do 4,578 of you
What kind
not
of bongs
all
have you
pick
been
it?
suffocating on over there?
That's all the people picking Carpe only. It has to be.
15% of people are picking
my.
Carpe only.
I had to get rid of those submissions, unfortunately. It actually
you.
did skew the results, so sorry,
fine.
Carpe
Okay.
botters.
I think let's go through all of the reasons why Aspas would be in the greatest of all time conversation, because absolutely I think he's gonna be someone that all of us considered for the number 1 spot, if not put him at the number 1 spot. So Wyatt, as the historic Brazil and Aspas glazer,
Yep.
give me the Aspas take for GOAT.
The take for GOAT, I think it's actually undisputed that he's the best duelist in the history of the game in terms of consistency, achievement, coming from a region that did not have the depth of talent compared to other regions initially, yet the 5-man team of Loud, with him leading it as their star upcoming player, was able to dominate in 2022 against a team that had a player in Ye on the hottest run any player has ever been on in Valorant. And they were able to beat those guys, win champs, and from there has maintained that level of consistency into this year. We saw, for the first time ever, he had a bad tournament. The first time, I mean, you could point to like some other, like maybe what was it, Tokyo, the one where
Tokyo.
when how much do you want to put that on him versus team decision as to how they want to use him? You could try to argue either way, but much like we were saying about Durka, those are blips on an otherwise flawless streak, and I think Aspas is just one step above in terms of how much he's brought to these teams, how much he's brought to multiple different teams. Like, if you want to compare his journey to Durka, and this isn't to discredit Durka, but he has played with the best IGL in the game for 5 years, building systems around him. And you have Aspas, who, again, came from a region with less talent. Sanok, obviously one of the GOAT IGLs, but then goes to Lev, crazy international team, drops ridiculous numbers with them last year. And now, yes, I know obviously Toronto happened, but now builds his own fucking team with challengers players from Brazil and Verno, and is able to have them as a top 3 America's team and get these guys to their first event with an org that had no success in Americas up until this point. Like, he's just done so much in his career and has been so consistent the entire time outside of a couple moments here or there.
Yeah, he's just the best. I think he's just the best mechanical player in the game. I think that's like something that speaks just volumes as well. Like, even if you just look at all the multiple teams, like you said, everything that you said, like if you just literally just look at his raw skill, it's so insane.
It is, yeah.
And he's doing this on a nerfed Jet. This is a lot of times, like, especially if you do like a direct comparison to like how Tens was playing Jet and how Aspas like plays Jet. Like the Jet's completely different from when like Aspas plays him. So it's impressive what he does, and yeah, he just makes non-teams look like they can win shit, which is crazy. He's just one of the most impactful players we've seen.
Yeah, he is a monster of a player. But that sets us up then for our number one, which is different to the community number one. So let's bring it up. The Plat chat greatest of all time player, Carpe.
That'd be so
Chronicle.
good.
That would be.
Chronicle, the winningest player in Valorant history between Gambit and then on Fnatic. He's just been vastly successful. 6 top 4 finishes, 3 trophies, 3.5 years minimum as like an elite level player. More if you wanted to consider, what he was doing when he was playing inside the CIS region. Like a very small period of time in the beginning of 2022 when Mech couldn't attend any of the events and the whole team was kind of like, mentally in a rough spot because of situations completely outside of their control. That's like the only period of time ever where I can feel like I watched Chronicle and thought, damn, man, maybe he's like fallen off a little bit. And then he just rebounds instantly to being on the greatest of all time roster, winning back-to-back trophies. And also even prior to that, being their best player at 2021 champs, which I think a lot of people tend to forget because they only associate that era with Nats. But absolutely, Chronicle was a freak on that team.
I still think he looked the best on Mech as well when they were having all the war stuff as well. Like I think he was the best performer that was giving me hope in that team. He's just the most consistent. He's done it multiple times with the most times with multiple teams. It's just everything that you need to know. And then he just frags out heavy. Sure, he's like he's the standout in some events, but normally he's just like second here, best performer in his team. But when you do that so much, you are the best. So he's just consistently been the best for multiple years. And like I had him and Aspas and I was like trying to work it out. But honestly, I think just the consistency of it, what he does with Flex as well. And I think only Aspas kind of came into the scene properly in like 2021, and Chronicle had been doing it. Yeah. But maybe this is EMEA bias because I was coaching him, but like coaching against them back then, but he was doing it like from the beginning. So there's like an extra year and a half that he was like, in my opinion, winning stuff. So just, dude, 5 years to be this consistent, it's just incredible.
I've got to ask, how much did you guys factor in Toronto with these two guys at number 1 and number 2?
I didn't, Toronto.
You mean in terms of like putting one over the other?
Yes.
Toronto definitely factors in to some degree because I think Chronicle got another great like deep run in a tournament whilst playing well. And I think Chronicle was also a big reason why they got so deep too. Like it was Alpha and Chronicle were the 2 big players during that run for me of Fnatic. Would I say that I didn't really factor in Aspas flumping at all though? Like, cause it's just, in my opinion, it's genuinely going to be irrelevant. Like it's just a road bump on, it's the same thing as saying like in 2022, Chronicle had a bit of a dip. It's like, okay, well, Aspas had one. It just happened to be like right now. But I did still factor in Toronto to the extent that I think it makes Chronicle's greatness, it like elevates that up a little notch again because he did so well.
I agree. I felt the exact same way about it. That it just gave me an extra point to throw towards him.
I mean, I had Aspas above Chronicle, so clearly I didn't take Toronto into account too much for like these two in terms of relativity. But
what's the tipping point that made you do that?
For me, I think the tipping point was that I see Chronicle's big value, like the discussion oftentimes, especially obviously in the older days, was like Leo and Chronicle, right? Like who does what better, like etc. And Chronicle seemed to always shine a bit brighter on the mechanical side. Not to say that he's just an aimer or whatever, obviously, especially if you're flexing around. But to me, Aspas being able to do like the impact he has purely off of mechanics is so off the charts that I just gave that more impact, right? Like that's just like a nearly inhuman thing, yeah.
I think that's where this is where I had the whole internal talk to myself, because if it was like best player, I'm saying Aspas, but because it's greatest, it's just the wording that is like the only reason that I've done that.
Yeah, it is. Sure. It is a bit of semantics, but at the end of the day, like it does make a bit of a
Dude,
difference.
Sassy
too.
and Leo are close.
Dude, Leo barely
And
made.
both,
Oh,
sir.
I guess we already talked about why. Yeah.
Joker and Forsaken, there's only 1 point in
One
it
point.
between them. God damn. Wait, that is wild. So if I had not underrated Forsaken so heavy,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he would have
he for sure would have been in the number 3 spot.
Wow.
You know what's it feels in a way to me criminal, but it just isn't. Is the lack of players from DRX, like the OG DRX.
I
Just
was thinking about Mako.
yeah,
I
like
was fond of
Mako,
Mako.
Stacks, and
Yeah.
they just
They didn't make it deep enough
No.
though, man.
They-
They,
like-
they made
like,
they made
yeah, I
fifth,
mean,
sixth. It's not like
that's what
they're
I
not
mean.
cracking enough.
They didn't, but they were such mainstays that in my brain it just feels like they should belong. I mean, they obviously, you know, they
Oh, here we
didn't,
go.
but yeah,
Whoa,
I gotta be honest. I was pretty surprised to see Ye not on the top 10. Honestly,
Yeah, so was I actually.
Yeah,
I think
I was surprised at that.
Really?
the thing is though, there's a very
Ye
clear
over
argument
Nats?
why not.
Dude, I put Ye
I
over.
did
I want to
have
say I had
Ye
him
over Nats,
ninth.
yeah.
I just think, dude, his carry, and I know it's on an agent, and I think that I imagine like the later stuff after, like if he had retired, then I think we probably would put him on a similar pedestal as to like what we do with where Leo is and stuff like that.
Sure.
But dude, you got to remember just how insanely dominant he was back then. Like he does kind of deserve to be in top 10, and I guess if the chamber meta was shorter, then I get it. But man,
He's had the most dominant year of
was-
all time. There's no
Yeah,
player
yeah,
that's come
yeah.
close. There's actually no player that's
I mean,
even
yeah,
been
he
close.
was untouchable that
for
year.
a whole year.
Yes. But it was one agent, one meta.
Well,
And
the
then,
thing,
and then
no,
the
hold on though,
drop-off,
hold on.
obviously lots of different factors, but the drop-off was...
He was also the second best
generational.
player at Masters Berlin. He was like
No, I-
insanely
Jet.
good on Jet back then
Yeah.
as well. He was already looking like a best player in the world kind of caliber mid 2021.
I will say that there is a lot of recency bias, but I do also kind of get it because there wasn't that many teams that look great.
I agree with you
I'm-
though, Sliggy. I think if Ye had retired after 2021, after
he's-
2022,
he's up there.
he's up there. He's like
I would agree.
seventh or something. I don't
Yeah,
know. Like
yeah.
people will view him like they do Leo now. I mean, having said that, we fucked up Leo.
We
Well,
Well,
We-
not us, not us.
We-
We as a collective.
Do you guys want to see the community top 10?
Yeah,
Or top
just-
20?
oh, wait.
Oh.
Just for a moment on Nats though, because was Nats the other player that you expected to see on the list, Wyatt?
Me.
I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
I thought we would see him somewhere. Yeah.
Right. And does
Damn.
this seem reasonable to you?
I think I put him in 11th. So
Yeah,
yes.
so did I.
I think I did
or
too.
12th. Yeah. Yeah,
But I
11th
was-
or 12th.
I put him around here as well, but I wasn't taking IGLing into account. I don't know, maybe people would put him higher for that.
Hmm.
It wasn't as much. I just think he had such an enormous impact on
Impact.
like the entire game as well.
Yeah.
He didn't just have an impact within his team. He had like an impact on how the entire Sentinel role shifted.
Yeah,
It's pretty tough to do. That's like what you give
Yeah.
Tens credit for on Jet
Yeah,
at the
it
start of the
is.
game.
Yep.
It showed people how to lurk, basically.
Now, maybe Clint or Seth did. Am I the only person that put Stacks in their top 15?
Let me look.
Yeah,
I
bro.
did
I
not.
did not. I did not.
Yes, you
I-
are. You put him at 14. No one else
Yeah, I
had
put
him on the
him
list.
14. I
What is your reasoning?
am surprised, to be honest.
Do you want to quickly
Uh,
go to the community top 10 and then we can
Yeah,
do
yeah.
individual lists?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
let's have a look at
Yeah,
'Cause
let's
I have
do
the-
that.
Because he
I
might
have
be
the
there.
individual lists after.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get
Do
into
it,
a
do it,
war
do it.
here. With
So the community must have had people on that we weren't expecting, though, did they? Kang at 9th, I think is
But if you're
really high.
but if you're talking about nuts and impact of the game,
Yeah.
I mean the same
You have to
argument is
put
there
him
for
in.
Gankang.
Is it?
For a whole region, yeah. When they got the game later, for sure, he inspired a whole region.
Oh,
And
sure.
he also
but has he changed the way that people are playing the game? Like Nats
I
changed the
would
way that
say-
people viewed
well,
the entire
maybe.
game. He wasn't just inspiring people to play.
I would say he was the next in line to change how people viewed the op. I would say
Some
that.
degree.
'Cause
Yeah, I
he
mean
was-
attack
he was,
upping and stuff.
I would say,
maybe.
yeah, the one in the spotlight that really consistently was doing aggressive op angles. So,
Dude,
I would say that his impact there.
how is Darker above Boaster? I don't get it.
You mean below?
Below, sorry.
Below,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that is
mad.
crazy.
I
That's mad.
can't understand the full process of that. No
I
offense to
think-
Boaster.
I think probably because people like I can imagine the average Joe knows that Boaster deserves a lot of credit, but doesn't probably didn't follow the game in 2021 or 22 as much.
It's also
So
probably
they don't know
like
how
there's a good
Durka
excuse
was.
when you say greatest of like, oh, this is the time to like give the IGLs a little shout. Plus, I mean, plus probably Goldfish memory and Durka just didn't exist at Toronto. So like,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that's probably on people's minds.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the lack of Meteor is kind of wild.
Dude,
that he's
everyone
all the
put
way down
EA
at
pretty low,
15th,
I feel
though.
like.
'Cause
Dude,
I think
Sassy 14 is kind of nuts as well.
Dude, the Sassy 14 is fucking crazy.
because texture,
That's criminal to me,
The
man.
Pacific rankings are bending my brain because I don't really see how you can justify texture above Jing and Meteor. Like I would have Meteor
Yeah.
above all
above
of them,
Meteor.
and then I would have Jing above texture.
I
because
think
Yeah,
I think Texture is one of the players that could have some insanely quick upward momentum in this list, though. The way he's
yes.
playing at the moment, a couple more top finish results, he's going way fucking up there.
Yeah.
I think Texture has a real shot at being the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
He's, despite not being on the top 10 list, just his level right now is outrageous.
it is nuts currently too. Yeah, it is very strong. Let's have a look at some of the individual ones then, shall we? Who do we want to go through? Because we are a little bit pressed for time here too. So should we have a quick glance at Wyatt's?
Let's run through ours, and then we got to see what Bren and them did
Yeah,
real quick too.
yeah.
We got to make fun of them while they're not here.
Okay.
I definitely brought the
Tens
tens
believer.
up the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely pushed
I'm
tens up the
vibing
list.
with your list though. I'm vibing with it.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not
mind
too
where
bad.
you've got people.
The only thing I was maybe questioning while we were doing that was moving Forsaken up a couple spots, but I still find it tough because there was a lull in his play for a couple years, but the 2022 was super strong, and obviously this year even stronger. I felt like I just had to put Ye in there though. No one has hit a peak like Ye.
The 10's
there's
number
just
3.
no one that has hit a peak like that.
The 10's number 3 is baffling me though.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you
I
want to
don't-
see
it's
Choba's list real
Pretty
quick?
high.
Let's see
Yeah.
Choba's.
You put 10s one. Oh, no. You did.
I did.
Wow.
Chobra, give me
I
the
did.
argument for 10's go.
Wow.
To me, it was literally okay. Initially, it was literally between Ospas and Chronicle, and then Tens was going to be third. And then thinking through it, to me, I really count that. I really count the impact he had at the very beginning, like because I'm assuming Valorant ended, right? Like Valorant's over,
Okay.
right? Pulled the servers. We're out playing 2xKO. Nobody's playing Valorant anymore. And then in my head, it's like you started VCT. And then you were near the end. You returned in a different form on a different agent to repeat that success, and with different rosters in a different meta on different roles. And to me, I count that really highly. I do agree with Sliggy that while I thought about it, I didn't discount too much like how much easier the game was back then. So I guess maybe like that's why I'm totally cool with Wyatt having 10s at third and like Chronicle and Ospas above that. But to me, that impact of him basically changing how, Jet was viewed, and then, quite frankly, a little bit of how Mako, or not Mako, friggin' Omen was being used as well, it counts for a lot.
Yeah.
You got a Kesnet in here. I respect that.
I
I
was
do have a
thinking,
Kesnet and CNET.
I forgot
Those
to
were
put
a
him
bit-
on my
yeah.
shortlist. I think
Yeah.
Kesnet does deserve to be on your
Yeah,
shortlist
yeah.
of players you consider putting on a list like this because he has been around for like a hot minute.
I'm
and
not
he's been very
surprised
good.
he's not higher, right?
He just
I think
gets
so.
forgotten because of the team's results.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
he's been a
He's also a
demon
lunatic.
for
He's
5
an ego
years.
challenger.
Yeah.
He loves an ego challenge. One of the things that I rated really highly was longevity of time as an elite player. So that's why I ended up having 10s quite a bit lower, and probably one of the main reasons I had Forsaken a bit lower too is that I feel like any lull in your career, I was still trying to take into account too, not just the peaks.
Yes.
But for Ye, I got to be honest with you. For Ye, I kind of discounted it because
1, 2,
I really
3,
didn't think it was
4,
his fault
5.
at all that he got kicked off.
You got your top 6 is Fnatic.
But it's Fnatic.
It's
Yeah.
Fnatic and Aspas.
Yep. When people complain about ring culture, that's me. That's me. Hands up.
He says as he has Sassy at 10th. Come on.
I know.
Where's Meteor 9th? Oh, dude, you are actually, you're
But I was
very
also
ring-filled.
with Sassy.
Yeah.
I mean, Sassy's been phenomenal too.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I think
think-
10th is fair.
the longevity of these players that have been part of Fnatic is ridiculous, because that's the thing you have to remember with people like Chronicle and Leo. They didn't pick up rookies. Like if Chronicle and Leo had been rookies and they'd accomplished what they'd accomplished only on Fnatic, they wouldn't make a list like this. But it's because they already had like good performances beforehand, and especially Chronicle, that they end up.
I do like the Crashy shout.
Crazy.
But yeah, Forsaken and Jing at 13-15 is insane.
I don't think Forsaken's been an elite player for long enough, man.
I mean, he was only like, the best Yoru as well for a little while, and
Yoru was the most
before everyone
niche thing
else.
of all time.
And,
Exactly.
has only been getting.
so
yeah, but
niche.
he was doing it. When
I mean, I'm not gonna.
to play.
Tens was also like an incredible Yoru, but he played it on
Like
one
a year
map.
after.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
gave up. Forsaken didn't.
But why the fuck are we even caring about who the best Yoru was? It got played on like one map every month. Let's have a look at some other people. Let's look
Did I
at
list
Sliggy.
anyone off? I think this is alright, dude. Oh, it is a high
Mate,
meteor.
you're roasting me for
It's a
having
high
Fnatic as my top
meteor.
6. You've got Fnatic as your top 7.
Yeah,
We've got the
but-
same fucking
No, I
list.
don't.
Yeah.
Where's
No, you're
Boaster?
not. He's
Oh
only
yeah, no
got
boaster. Sorry, no
Oh,
boaster.
yeah.
My bad on that one.
Roadstock
come
at
on.
4 in the top 7 versus 5 in the top 6.
Yeah, crazy, dude.
Relax.
I saw
bro.
an opportunity to clap back and I failed. I
Relax.
missed it.
Whiff.
Divide is a
Holy
good shout.
airball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Divide's
just
a good
didn't
shout.
factor IGL stuff because we don't know. Like
Yeah,
I,
I
get
think
that,
sure.
I get that
That's
everyone's.
okay. Wait,
well-
you didn't factor in IGL, but you still had Nats at 11th.
Yeah, I impacted the game.
Yeah. All right. Fair. Let's have a look at some crackheads. Can we?
So I don't have assets for the crackhead list, just because
Okay.
it froze my computer, but I can read them off. I think Bren's is definitely the most notable list. So we'll go
Let's
15,
go for Brent.
we'll go 15 to 1. He had Buzz,
All right.
Chichu, Valen, Trent, Tens, Crashies, Durka,
Whoa.
Ospas, Alphayer, Kang. Here's where it's a little bit crazy.
Here's when it's already crazy.
Here's where it
Wait,
gets
what?
crazy.
It's already crazy.
It gets a little bit crazier. Devi, Jing, wait for it. Jojimo, Chronicle, Forsaken.
Jog top 3 and Forsaken number 1.
Wait, so he had 3 Paper X players in his top 5.
I
Yes.
think T1
Is that what you're saying?
scared him
Divine
ever
Forsaken.
since.
Jing Devi and Forsaken in the top 5.
I mean,
I
when
mean,
I heard
wins that.
Aspas and there was still like 10 players left to go, I knew it was Brent's.
Wait, where was Chronicle?
Chronicle was 2.
Okay, got you.
Oh, this had to be this had to be the
Ospa
Alice
7 or
impact.
whatever is crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
I do think
Jojimo
Jaw.
there is an Alice
I do
impact.
think
Jaw
Jaw
made
is
the
kind of a
shortlist for me.
sleeper though on this. Yeah, I
Because, like,
kind of wish I put him in there. He's just had
Bro, if
obviously
Jaw-
he's a champs winner.
If he had won at Bangkok whilst playing as good as he did in
Yes.
the finals of Bangkok, it would have changed the narrative massively. But he just didn't.
Yes.
Read me who is below and above Crashies.
On what list? Bren's?
On Bren's
Tens was
list,
rank
yeah.
11. Crashies was ranked 10.
Yeah, tens into
And
Crashies.
Durka was ranked 9.
I mean, I'm a Crashies glazer, and I think that's crazy.
I had Crashes at 14th, and I thought that
Yeah.
that was like really like giving him his props.
10th.
He was another one that I wish I
Bro, he only
I
watched
wanted
Toronto.
to, but couldn't.
He only watched Toronto.
Yeah,
Maybe he thought it was a top 10 list
yeah,
from
maybe.
Toronto.
Yeah,
Wait, Kurt, really quick. Could you give the Seth Clint Dryad
Yeah.
like just like the top
Yeah.
few? We don't need
Like,
the whole
or
thing.
just,
but just
notable
I'll
picks.
give you some
Yeah,
notable
yeah.
picks.
Okay, okay.
So Paperthin had Saucy. Guess where he had Saucy?
4th.
Number
Second.
1.
Whoa.
number 1.
That's a
wait,
notable one.
he had
Because he's the only
Baldkinship.
Champs Masters winner, presumably? And he's just valuing Champs
who did he have second again?
enormously?
Who was it?
He had Meteor at number 2.
Right, he had Meteor at number 2, but then he had,
Sassy, then Meteor.
but he didn't have Chronicle above those.
Josh is
Wait,
fucking
we got-
flabbergasted.
we gotta
Did he
hit
have
his-
Chronicle at all?
We got to hit his like
No Kron?
top 10.
Yeah, I think we just need his top 10. We just
he
need
didn't
it.
have Chronicle at all. He had
Whoa,
Nats. This is starting from 15 to 1. Nats, Mako, Les, Ye, Laz, Kang, Texture, Tens, Boaster, Forsaken, Durka, Buzz, Osbos, Meteor,
Buzz!
Saucy.
Dude, I
Okay,
missed half
okay.
the list because my
Honestly,
earphones got pulled
Like
out.
most of the list is somewhat sensible, and then there's just like wild names thrown in there.
There's a random buzz
The
of
Laz
in
hit
the
the
top
Laz
10.
hit me like a slap to the face.
Yeah, that's when my earphones fell out because I was recoiling. I mean, Laz was...
Buzz is so high up as well.
That's
Achilles' list is fine, so it's just it's a good list.
Okay.
So slightly
as far
Pacific
as
and-
like the aggregate goes.
Wow.
Dryad's list, TMV's is also kind of the same. Notable is rank 12. He had Sodhawk.
I'm not mad at it if you're valuing IGLs.
IGLs, yeah.
I wish he'd done something better with KC to justify that, but you know,
All the current
could
meta,
do.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
the only notable one for Dan's was she had Kesnet at 11. But everything else is pretty aggregate.
Kind of high.
I thought it's
but-
okay for him to make the list, but yeah, that is pretty high. But yeah, okay. Respect for Dan representing. That paper thin one is just
Dude, we can't have him here
obliterating
anymore.
me.
Yeah,
We can't have him here. That's crazy. What was it?
Dude.
Buzz 4th and Laz like 8th?
I mean, I love
Content.
Buzz. Like, I've always ranked Buzz very high on the ODRX, and I do not think
Dude,
he's top. Yeah.
I love Laz as well. He's one of the best chambers.
Yeah.
But come on. Come on now.
I also can I just get a quick moment of self-defense? I feel like people are gonna lash at me for having RB in my top 15 because obviously he recently joined Nongshim. But just so we're clear, I used to, maybe this isn't defense, but I used to rate Mind Freak over Mako when everyone was glazing Mako as the best control in the world. So like, it's not actually because RB joined Nongshim. I just valued like the flexing, etc. I think was
Right.
more integral to DRX, etc., etc. I just
All right.
put that out
Yeah,
there.
sure.
That's a lovely piece of personal defense.
Real
I
quick, I'm sorry,
appreciate it.
everybody. I have to go to work soon, but the only other notable thing, I know people want me to read Seth's list. He can post it on the internet if he wants to. He does have two notable ones: Buzz at rank 7 and Mako at rank 4.
Mako 4. I mean, I was thinking about putting Mako on the list, but he wouldn't have made 4. He would have made like 15 for.
He's just he is one of the all-time iconic players that I just could not find a reason to put on this list, and it fucked me up.
But it's just like, dude, if your best performance is third, you're probably
Yeah,
not
yeah.
making a list, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is that. All right, that's an insane segment. We've angered everybody on the internet. Everybody on the panel is angry.
Yeah.
Kurt's angry, going off to work. So let's end with something uplifting to finish. Let's go into the Wyatt's Weekly Award.
It's Wyatt's Weekly Award.
Thank you, Brennan. This week, I will be going ahead and giving the award to Reddit user Rox Fury for going out of their way to compile all of the statistics on the history of the Wyatt's Weekly Award since the partnership era. They've really gone ahead and given all of the information, which once again leads to a similar end result of us just giving the award to ourselves and engaging in horrific nepotism. Look at this! By organization, number of awards are version 1/Shopify with 7. Number 1, Plat Chat with 22 awards. There's no way the people on this show have done anything close to enough to deserve 22
Greatest of all time.
awards.
We're the greatest of all time, baby.
I mean, that is egregious. The sanctity of this establishment has been absolutely tarnished in my absence.
Oh,
But we
in
will
your
fix that.
absence. In your absence, you were the one who originally tarnished it by selling it for 1 Twitch sub to Dust Moray. That was you who did that.
It was a dark time. I needed groceries. we did what we must. But we are existing in greener pastures, and the award will never be tarnished by like greed again. We're in a new era, and nobody on Plat Chat will be getting any more awards anytime soon.
It is
We need
kind
to
of
give
sick.
one
That's
to
called.
Mimi.
Nope.
Mimi's
She
the only one
hasn't
who's
got
getting
one, right?
robbed here.
Mimi doesn't have one.
Oh, well, do something of note because and then,
Dude, I love that on the first picture. It's just one of the persons that received the most is you, Wyatt. Your own award.
I know. I wasn't giving them to me, by the way. That wasn't me. I was not giving them to me. I swear. At least I don't think I did.
Well, how has Sliggy won 3?
What
have
does
you
that
done?
mean?
I
That's
mean, what have you
crazy.
done to deserve 3?
Okay, I know
Idiot.
I know I gave one to Sliggy when all of you guys were slacking. And he was showing in, day out. First one in the office, last one to leave. So he deserved one for that. I don't know what the fuck he did for the other two.
It's probably that 3 times, to be honest. Sideshow's always late. He's never getting up there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, well, that does it for our episode where we're discussing the greatest players of all time in Valorant. We'll see you next week for episode 224. We'll be going through that Brazil versus LATAM tournament that happened with Crew, Leviathan, etc. We'll be doing previews and predictions for Stage 2, which we will get entirely wrong. And a reminder again, if you want to watch a charity stream over the course of the next week, from the 8th to the 13th, we're going to be running one on my Twitch channel, on Bren's Twitch channel, so you can enjoy some faces that you've seen before around Plat Chat, raising money for charity. In the meantime, though, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.